Oh, what a tangled web we weave, when first we practice to deceive. Walter Scott. Deception, fraud, lies, and betrayal. This is what a regular play session of Among Us looks like, an online multiplayer social deduction game that was released back in 2018 but has just recently started to blow up all over the internet. It's a crafty concept that is wrapped around an easy to digest gameplay formula. It has become quite the hit, but I think that there is more to learn and take away from this game than just learning how to connect equally colored wires. There is a deeply important lesson hidden within this entertaining game, a lesson so omnipresent that many of us never take the time to learn it. A lesson of deception. Before I get into the philosophical aspect, let me just quickly explain what the game is all about for everyone who has been living under a rock. In Among Us, you and the rest of your party are trapped in a space-inspired environment, from a literal spaceship to a headquarters building all the way to a planetary base. And that's also pretty much it, by the way. There are only 3 maps so far, but this only reinforces my point that this game has a deeper and more satisfying reward than just plain map variety. You and the rest of your team are split up into 2 groups. On one side you have the crewmates, a group of people who are tasked with multiple minigame tasks that they need to get done in order for the round to end and for them to win. And on the other side you have the imposters, a small group of individuals whose main goal is to simply ruin everyone else's day. They can sabotage the machinery, forcing crewmates to fix a problem in time or otherwise lose the game, and they can also simply kill the other crewmates to win as well. The imposter's objective should therefore be quite obvious: kill all the remaining crewmates before they get done with their tasks. But this is simply the gameplay section of the game. Then of course, we also have the meetings, and here is where all the fun takes place.
No, you guys are BSing.
No, I just saw yellow.
I voted.
I also saw yellow.
What yellow? Are we talking the name yellow or the color yellow?
The reporter.
During meetings, everyone gets together and talks about what they've been doing and who they suspect to be the imposter. It's here where we can find the main crux of the game. This game is all about deceiving your peers, about finding loopholes in the truth and exploiting them to your benefit. It's all about throwing others under the bus to come out on top. And this is exactly why it's such a popular and satisfying game to play. Most of society will never admit to it, but we as humans, we have become inherently drawn to deception. We love to see deception play out, and so do you probably as well. But not for the reasons you may think. Don't worry, you're not a psychopath just because you enjoy a session of Among Us. To better explain my point though, let me address what deception is and why it's crucial to understand it in society. Deception refers to the act, big or small, cruel or kind, of encouraging people to believe information that is false. Information that will then in turn influence the relationship you have with others. Relationships that can only be created when there is a solid foundation of trust. And trust that is the bedrock of social life at all levels, from romance and parenting all the way to national government. But deception always undermines it. It will make sure that you doubt and suspect anyone and anything. It will erode your trust in the relationship and make you question everything about it. It's by far one of the most cruel tactics that can be used by humans. But you see, the thing about deception is that we can all agree that it is also scarily beautiful. When someone is actually able to pull off an incredibly tricky maneuver and convince someone of something that is not true, you have to acknowledge their brilliance in doing so. And this is exactly why deception can be so attractive to us humans. Deep down, we all know how hard it is to deceive someone into believing something that is not true. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist. Only one thing is truly more satisfying than voting out an imposter and putting an end to his plan. And that is being the imposter himself and successfully tricking everyone else into believing your set of events. Sometimes it's luck and sometimes it's careful planning. However it happens, deception is enticing no matter what. You out-tricked everyone else. You now feel like you have the superior mind. After all, they weren't smart enough to find out that it was you all along. The imposter among us, just waiting for the final strike. This game does a great job of tapping into our natural desire of winning and our natural desire of being at the top of the food chain. And it's exactly this fact that should scare you of the lesson that this game can teach us. Throughout human history, deception has often been implemented on a major scale. From the Trojan horse to Hitler all the way to today's press. It is a tactic that is very hard to implement, but when successful can have horrific and long-lasting effects. Imagine walking from cafeteria to O2 and seeing yellow kill orange. You immediately report the body and start discussing with your peers. But now, Yellow convinces them that it was you that did the killing and self-reported the body. They believe him, and so you are thrown out of the group and no longer heard. The facts that you held thrown out with you as well. The lie gets to live on, but you don't. And I'm pretty certain that there is a bigger video somewhere in here about how this perfectly ties into cancel culture and how canceling people for their opinions is incredibly dangerous for society. But that's a video for another day. Now cue the cinematics again. Let's change the scenario. Imagine that you are a young child that grew up in the Republic and have always looked up to the Jedi. You have always wanted to become one yourself. But then one day this changes. Chancellor Palpatine and all of the Senate claim that the Jedi are traitors and that they need to be hunted down and killed. You refuse to believe it at first. But once so-called evidence starts to arise, you are first in line in the Stormtrooper Academy. And to put the final nail in the coffin, let's go back to the last century. You are a young German child living in Berlin. Your country is suffering from the losses of World War I and you don't know who to blame. You have friends of all backgrounds and all religions. You are struggling, but so is everybody else. But then a new chancellor rises to power and starts promising a better future, a more unified future under his ruling hand. You accept his proposal and become part of Hitlerjugend. The years pass and the lies you were fed in the beginning have now found a new home within you. Today is your first real day after the academy and you get your first assignment. You are tasked with rounding up all the Jews from your former childhood neighborhood and send them off to concentration camps. You take a look at the form and accept it without hesitation. I don't want to be too somber, but the point I'm trying to make is that deception has always been around us and it will always stay here. And if there's something Among Us teaches us, then that is the fact that everyone is capable of being a good deceiver and a good liar. Even your best friends. This should be a wake-up call to all of us, to look around and ask ourselves, how often are we being deceived? Just maybe take a few steps back from this strongly interconnected world and try to understand the truth. Be careful not to believe everything you are told, especially when it comes from a so-called credible news source. The only person you can truly trust is yourself. And even then, be careful. You might already be influenced by what the imposter wants you to believe. You gotta take a few steps back and look at the bigger picture. Because it's easiest to deceive someone when they're paying too close attention and so they miss the knife that is coming from behind. The cost of being careless is humongous. Because the imposter is always among us. Thanks for watching, guys. Feel free to subscribe and check out one of my previous videos right here. This channel is all about looking at video games and pop culture from a different perspective. About digging deeper into the meaning of life and how we can get there with video games, movies and TV shows. And if you'd like to chat to me or play some Among Us together, make sure to join our Discord server down in the description. So if that interests you, maybe subscribe, maybe hit the bell to be notified. What about that, huh? Yeah? Okay, good. See ya!
Dad's going to kill you. Really, he is.
Haha, Zula. Nice try.